Hello and welcome to Calm Mind, a place where thoughts are allowed to slow down. You don't need to make anything happen or arrive anywhere. Right now, your only invitation is to be here. Just this. Just you. Just resting. Let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw release. Allow your eyelids to grow heavy in their own time. No rush. Let's close the door on the day together and begin. I want you to know something before we even start. I understand why you're here tonight. You're tired, not just physically, but tired in that deeper way. Tired of the mental noise. Tired of trying so hard. And you're hoping, maybe with some hesitation, that this might help. It's okay to be skeptical. It's okay to be exhausted. It's okay to not know if anything can help anymore. You're here anyway, and that takes courage. If these gentle journeys are meaningful to you, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a reflection below. It helps other restless minds find their way here. But for now, your only task is to relax. Tonight, I want to share something with you that might shift your entire relationship with your own mind. Something gentle. Something that asks nothing of you except presence. The invitation to be curious instead of critical. You might have come here tonight hoping I would help you fix something. Fix your racing thoughts. Fix your anxiety. Fix your inability to sleep. And there's nothing wrong with wanting relief. Of course you want relief. You're tired. You're exhausted from the mental noise. You just want peace. But tonight, I'm going to offer you something different than fixing. Something that might, paradoxically, bring more relief than all the fixing you've been trying to do. Tonight, I'm inviting you to be curious. Maybe this is you. You came here hoping I would give you a technique to finally quiet your mind. A method to finally make sleep come easily. And I see that hope. I see that need. Of course you want relief. I'm not going to tell you that wanting relief is wrong. But I'm going to offer you something that might work better than anything you've tried before. Not because it's a better technique, but because it asks less of you. Curious about your thoughts instead of critical of them. Curious about your tension instead of fighting it. Curious about what's actually happening right now instead of demanding it be different. This isn't about giving up on change or resigning yourself to suffering. It's about discovering that curiosity, gentle, open wondering, is itself a form of relief. Just for tonight, what if you didn't have to fix anything? What if you could just notice? Notice your thoughts without needing them to stop. Notice your tension without needing it to immediately release. Notice your restlessness without making it wrong. This might feel strange. You might resist this invitation. But I want to fix things. I need them to change. I can't just accept everything as it is. And I understand. The fixing impulse comes from pain, from the very real desire for things to be different. That's not wrong. That's human. But consider this. What if the constant trying to fix is actually adding to the exhaustion? What if the pressure to change is itself a form of tension? And what if curiosity, simply wondering about your experience without immediately trying to alter it, actually creates the space where change can happen naturally? Think of a child discovering something new, a flower, a bug, a sound. They don't analyze it. They don't judge it. They don't try to change it. They just wonder, oh, what's this? They look closely. They notice details. They're genuinely interested, not because they should be, but because wondering is its own reward. This is the quality we're cultivating tonight. Not childish regression, but that same open, non-judgmental attention. That gentle interesting that doesn't need to become anything more. Curiosity doesn't have an agenda. It's not trying to get anywhere. It's just interested in what is. And when you bring curiosity to your own experience, your thoughts, your body, your emotional state, something softens. The fight lessens. The urgency eases. Because curiosity is inherently gentle. It doesn't demand or criticize. It simply wonders. And in that wondering, there's space. There's breath. There's relief. Tonight, we're going to explore curiosity as a way of being with yourself. Not as a technique to master. Not as another thing you should do perfectly, but as an invitation to a softer way of relating to your own experience. We'll look at why you've learned to always be fixing. We'll understand what curiosity actually is and what it isn't. We'll explore the neuroscience of gentle attention. We'll practice together, and we'll discover what it might be like to live from wonder instead of worry. And through it all, we'll rest, because curiosity is restful. It doesn't deplete you. It doesn't demand. It just notices. And in that noticing, rest can arrive. So let's begin this gentle exploration together. Not trying to get somewhere, not trying to achieve perfect calm, just wondering, what's it like to be here right now? That's all. Just curious, just noticing, just allowing tonight to unfold exactly as it unfolds. Let's start by understanding the exhaustion you might be feeling, the weariness that comes from constantly trying to fix yourself. You've likely developed what we might call a fixing mindset. Every experience is evaluated. Is this good or bad? Should I keep this or change it? Am I doing this right or wrong? With your thoughts, these thoughts are bad. I need to stop thinking them. Why can't I control my mind better? With your body, this tension is wrong. I should be more relaxed. What's wrong with me that I can't just let go? With your emotions, I shouldn't feel anxious. I need to be calm. This sadness needs to go away. And especially with sleep, I should be asleep by now. Why am I still awake? I'm failing at something everyone else does naturally. Does this sound familiar? This constant evaluation of your own experience. Maybe right now, even as you listen to this, part of you is monitoring. Am I relaxing? Is this working? Should I be feeling different by now? I see you. I see how automatic this has become. You can't even rest without evaluating how well you're resting. Every moment becomes a problem to solve. Every sensation gets categorized as something to fix or keep. Nothing is just allowed to be as it is. This is exhausting. This constant fixing didn't start as cruelty to yourself. It started, probably, as survival. Maybe you learned early that you needed to be good to be loved. That meant monitoring yourself constantly, fixing anything that might displease others. Or maybe you experienced something painful and learned that if you could just control yourself perfectly, control your thoughts, your reactions, your needs, you could avoid future pain. Or perhaps you absorbed from culture the message that you're a project, that you should always be improving, optimizing, fixing, becoming better. Perhaps you learned that love was conditional on being good enough, that safety required constant vigilance, that you had to earn your right to rest through perfect productivity. If any of this resonates, I want you to know that was never true. You were always worthy. The world just taught you otherwise. And you believed it because you had to survive. The fixing mindset made sense once. It was how you tried to stay safe, to be loved, to belong. But now it's exhausting you. The constant evaluation, the endless self-improvement, the pressure to be different than you are. And especially at night, when you're trying to rest, the fixing mindset becomes torture, because rest can't be forced. Sleep can't be achieved through sheer will. The more you try to fix your inability to sleep, the more awake you become. Let me share something with you about what all this fixing is actually doing. I see how worn down you are by all this fixing, how exhausted from the constant self-improvement, how heavy it feels to always be your own project, never just enough. You've tried so hard. You've done everything right. You've worked on yourself diligently. And still, here you are, unable to rest. This isn't your failure. This is the fixing mindset's failure. First, it creates what neuroscientists call metacognitive load. Thinking about thinking, monitoring your monitoring. Your prefrontal cortex, already tired from the day, stays activated. Trying to fix keeps you in an alert, problem-solving state. The opposite of rest. Second, constant fixing creates shame, because you can never fix yourself completely. There's always something more to improve. So you end up feeling perpetually inadequate, broken, not enough. Third, the fixing mindset prevents you from actually experiencing your life. You're so busy evaluating and changing your experience that you never fully have your experience. You're thinking about your thoughts instead of living your life, judging your emotions instead of feeling them, fighting your body instead of inhabiting it. And fourth, and this is crucial, the fixing mindset blocks the very change you're seeking. Because true change often requires first fully accepting what is. The paradox: you can't change what you won't acknowledge. And constant fixing is often a form of not acknowledging. It's saying this shouldn't be here before you've even fully seen what this actually is. The Zen teacher Shunryu Suzuki said, "The most important thing is to find out what is the most important thing." In the fixing mindset, the most important thing is always change. But what if sometimes, maybe even often, the most important thing is simply to notice, to understand, to be with what is? With sleep specifically, the fixing mindset creates a particularly cruel trap. You lie down exhausted, desperately wanting to sleep. And when sleep doesn't come immediately, you start fixing. What am I doing wrong? How can I make myself sleep? Let me try breathing techniques. Let me try relaxing my muscles. Let me try clearing my mind. All of these efforts activate your nervous system. The trying keeps you alert. The problem-solving engages your prefrontal cortex. The monitoring prevents the kind of mental drift that precedes sleep. And when these fixing attempts don't work, you escalate. I need to try harder. I need a better technique. I need to figure this out. You've tried so many techniques, haven't you? Breathing exercises, progressive relaxation, counting, meditation. Some worked for a while, some never worked at all, and each failed attempt added to the evidence, something's wrong with me. But nothing is wrong with you. The approach is what's been wrong. Not you. Never you. But sleep doesn't respond to effortful trying. Sleep is something you allow, not something you achieve. The more you try to fix your way into sleep, the more elusive sleep becomes. So you're caught, exhausted but wired, desperate to rest but unable to stop trying. The fixing mindset, which feels like it should help, actually prevents the very thing you're seeking. This isn't your fault. You're doing what you've learned, what you've been taught, what seems like it should work. But tonight, I'm offering you another way. Not fixing, just noticing, not changing, just wondering. Take a moment to recognize your own fixing patterns, not to judge them, just to notice them with curiosity. What do you typically try to fix? Your thoughts, your feelings, your body sensations, your sleep itself. How does the fixing feel? Urgent, exhausting, sometimes temporarily successful but ultimately draining? What would it be like to pause the fixing, just for tonight, not forever, just as an experiment? What would it be like to simply be with your experience without immediately trying to change it? This might feel scary, like giving up control, like resigning yourself to suffering. But consider, maybe the fixing was never really control. Maybe it was just exhaustion masquerading as agency. And maybe, just maybe, there's another way, a gentler way, a curious way. Let me pause here and say something directly to you. Not to people in general. To you, the person listening to this right now. I see you. I see you lying there, exhausted but unable to sleep. Maybe you've been lying there for 20 minutes, or an hour, or longer. Maybe this is the third night this week where rest won't come. I see the weight you're carrying, not just tonight, but all the time. The mental load, the responsibilities, the worries about things that haven't even happened yet. Maybe you're worrying about tomorrow, what you have to do, whether you'll have the energy, whether you'll be able to function if you don't sleep tonight. Maybe you're worrying about someone you love, a child, a parent, a partner, someone who needs you and you're not sure you have enough to give. Maybe you're carrying grief, loss, something or someone that's no longer here, and the quiet of night makes it louder somehow. Or maybe it's not one big thing. Maybe it's the accumulation of 1,000 small things. The daily overwhelm. The constant low-level anxiety that you can manage during the day, but that rises up when everything gets quiet. I see you trying so hard. You've tried everything, haven't you? Different breathing techniques, meditation apps, sleep hygiene protocols, supplements, therapy, books, videos. And some of it helps sometimes. But tonight, here you are again, still searching, still trying, still hoping that something will finally give you the rest you so desperately need. I see how tired you are, not just physically, tired of trying, tired of being the one who has to manage everything, including your own mind, tired of being the problem you have to solve. And I want you to know something. This exhaustion you're feeling, it makes sense. You're not broken. You're not failing. You're not weak. You're a human being who's been carrying too much for too long, who's been trying to fix yourself when what you actually needed was to be seen, to be held, to be told it's okay to be exactly as you are right now. So I'm telling you, it's okay. You're okay. Even if you don't feel okay. Even if you're anxious or sad or restless or numb. Even if you're not sleeping well enough. Even if you're not doing rest right. You're here. You're trying. You haven't given up. That's enough. You're enough. I see the courage it takes to be here tonight. To be vulnerable enough to listen to a voice in the dark telling you maybe there's another way. To be willing to try one more thing when you've already tried everything. That's not weakness. That's profound strength. The strength to keep hoping, to keep reaching, to keep being open to possibility even when you're exhausted. And I want to honor that. I want to honor you, your struggle, your pain, your persistence, your heart that's still somehow open even after everything. You matter. What you're going through matters. Your rest matters. Not because you need to be productive tomorrow. Not because you need to take care of others. But because you matter. Full stop. So tonight, let yourself be seen. Let yourself be held by this moment. Let yourself be exactly as you are, exhausted, worried, restless, whatever, without needing to be anything else. I see you, and you're worthy of rest. You're worthy of gentleness. You're worthy of being met exactly where you are. Now let's explore what curiosity actually is, because it's often misunderstood. It's not a technique. It's not a strategy for getting what you want. It's something much simpler and more profound. At its core, curiosity is interested attention without judgment. It's looking closely at something, not to evaluate it, not to fix it, but simply to understand it more fully. When you're curious, you're not asking, how do I get rid of this? You're asking, what is this actually like? What can I notice about this? The poet Rainer Maria Rilke wrote, "Be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart and try to love the questions themselves." This is the spirit of curiosity, loving the questions, being interested in not knowing. This might feel strange to you, just noticing without fixing. Your mind might immediately resist, "But I need to fix things. I can't just accept everything." I understand that resistance. It makes sense. You've been taught that acceptance means giving up. But what if it means something different? What if it means finally being honest about what's actually here? Curiosity doesn't need answers. It doesn't need resolution. It's content to simply wonder, to explore, to notice. And this quality, this gentle, non-demanding attention, is inherently restful, because it doesn't require you to be anywhere other than where you are. Let me clarify what curiosity isn't, because there are some subtle imposters. Curiosity isn't analysis. Analysis has an agenda, to understand in order to control, to figure out in order to fix. True curiosity doesn't have that agenda. It's interested without needing to do anything with the information. Curiosity isn't positive thinking. It's not trying to reframe everything as good. It's willing to look at difficulty, discomfort, pain, not to make it okay, but simply to see it clearly. Curiosity isn't a technique to make unwanted experiences go away. If you're being curious about your anxiety hoping it will disappear, that's not real curiosity. That's fixing disguised as curiosity. Real curiosity genuinely doesn't know what will happen and is okay with that. I know you might be skeptical right now. This sounds like spiritual bypassing, like pretending everything is fine when it's not. But curiosity doesn't deny difficulty. It looks at difficulty clearly, without the filter of "this shouldn't be here." Just, "This is here. What's it actually like?" And curiosity isn't passive resignation. It's not saying, "Oh well, I guess this is just how things are forever." It's actively interested attention, but interest without urgency, engagement without agenda. Curiosity is its own reward. The noticing itself is the point, not what comes after the noticing, just the noticing. Let me help you feel the difference between fixing attention and curious attention. Fixing attention feels tight, narrow. There's a target and you're focused on it with an agenda. This needs to change. How do I make it change? It's effortful. There's muscle in it. Mental gripping. The sense that you have to hold something or push something or control something. Curious attention feels softer, more open. You're looking, but not with the intensity of trying to alter what you see. It's lighter, less effortful, like the difference between staring and gazing. Staring is intense, fixed, trying. Gazing is gentle, receptive, allowing. Let me show you what this feels like, using something happening right now. You're lying in bed. Notice the difference between these two approaches. Fixing, I should be more relaxed. Why am I still tense? What's wrong with me? Curious, there's tension here. I wonder what that's like. Where exactly is it? What's its quality? Feel the difference. One contracts, one opens. Neither changes the tension, but your relationship to it shifts completely. The neuroscientist Dr. Dan Siegel uses the acronym COAL to describe this quality: curiosity, openness, acceptance, love. It's a way of attending that's warm instead of cold, soft instead of hard, allowing instead of forcing. When you bring curious attention to your experience, it changes the flavor of the moment. Even if the content is the same anxious thought, the same physical tension, the relationship is different. You're with it differently, and that changes everything. Here's something important about curiosity. It lives in not knowing. When you think you already know what something is, curiosity can't exist. If you've decided this is just my anxiety again, this is the same old insomnia, this is that familiar tension, you've collapsed the experience into a category. There's nothing new to discover. But if you approach each moment with genuine not knowing, I wonder what this actually is right now, curiosity can arise. This doesn't mean pretending you don't have history or patterns. You know you've had anxiety before. You know insomnia is familiar. But can you be curious about this particular instance of anxiety? This specific moment of wakefulness? Each moment is actually unique. Even familiar experiences have subtle variations. And when you look with fresh eyes, with genuine curiosity, you might notice things you've never noticed before. The Buddhist teacher Pema Chodron says, "The most fundamental aggression to ourselves is to remain ignorant by not having the courage to look at ourselves honestly and gently." Curiosity is that courage. The courage to look honestly at what is actually happening, not what you think should be happening, and to look gently, with kindness, not harshness. Here's something counterintuitive. Not knowing can be a relief. The fixing mindset assumes you know. I know what's wrong. I know what needs to change. I know what I should be doing. This knowing creates pressure, because if you know what should happen and it's not happening, you're failing. But what if you don't actually know? What if this moment is more mysterious than you've been allowing it to be? I don't know why I'm anxious right now. I don't know if this tension will release or stay. I don't know when sleep will come. This not knowing removes the pressure of having to make something specific happen. You can just be here, curious about what's actually unfolding, without needing to control the outcome. And paradoxically, in this not knowing, in this curious attention without agenda, change often happens naturally, not because you forced it, but because you created the conditions, space, acceptance, gentle attention, where natural regulation can occur. So the practice is simple. Just notice. Not notice in order to. Just notice. Notice what you're thinking without needing the thoughts to stop. Notice what you're feeling without needing the feeling to change. Notice where you're tense without needing the tension to release. Just here. This is what's happening right now. Interesting. No judgment. No fixing. No agenda. Just curious attention. This might seem too simple. Just noticing won't help. Your mind might protest. But try it. For the next few minutes. Just be curious about your actual experience without trying to change it. What do you notice? I want to tell you something that might bring relief. Something about what you're experiencing right now. You're not alone. I know it feels like you are, especially at night, especially when everyone else seems to be sleeping and you're wide awake, alone with your thoughts. But right now, at this very moment, there are thousands of other people lying awake too, listening to voices like mine, hoping for rest, struggling with the same patterns you're struggling with. There's someone in Tokyo right now, lying in bed, trying to stop fixing their thoughts. Someone in London. Someone in Sao Paulo. Someone 3 blocks from your house. All of you awake. All of you trying. All of you hoping. And beyond tonight, beyond this moment, there are millions of people who understand exactly what you're going through, who have their own version of the fixing mindset, who are exhausted from trying to control their own minds. Maybe they're trying to fix their anxiety, like you. Maybe they're trying to fix their grief, their trauma, their chronic pain. Maybe they're lying there thinking the exact same thought you just had. What's wrong with me that I can't just relax? Nothing is wrong with you. This is what human minds do. This is what it's like to be conscious, self-aware, living in a complex world with a brain that's trying to keep you safe by thinking about everything that could go wrong. Let me share something with you. I've spoken to countless people about sleep, about rest, about the fixing mindset. And here's what I've learned. The person who seems to have it all together, they're lying awake some nights too, wondering why they can't just be content. The person who meditates every day, they still have nights where their mind won't quiet. The person who seems so calm and peaceful, they're carrying something too. Everyone is carrying something. Your particular struggles might be unique to you. The specific content of your worries, your fears, your pain, that's yours. But the experience of struggling, that's universal. That's what it means to be human. The Buddhist teacher Jack Cornfield says, if your compassion does not include yourself, it is incomplete. And part of compassion is recognizing, this struggle is not evidence that something is wrong with me. This struggle is evidence that I'm human. Every person who has ever lived has known difficulty, has known sleepless nights, has known the exhaustion of trying to fix themselves. You're not the exception. You're the rule. And there's strange comfort in that, isn't there? You're not uniquely broken. You're normally struggling. This is what conscious beings do. We try to solve ourselves. We get tired. We seek rest. So when you notice yourself trying to fix, when you catch yourself in the pattern, that's not special evidence of your dysfunction. That's you being remarkably, ordinarily human. And when you're able to pause, to bring curiosity instead of criticism, that's also human. That capacity for gentleness, for choosing kindness over harshness, that's in you because you're human too. You belong to this great community of struggling, trying, hoping humans. All of us doing our best. All of us tired sometimes. All of us seeking the same thing, to be at peace with ourselves. So when the loneliness comes, and it will, especially at night, remember, you're not alone in feeling alone. Even that experience of isolation is shared by millions. There's someone right now who needs to hear that they're not the only one. Maybe that someone is you. So hear it. You're not the only one. You're one of many. You belong to this struggling, beautiful, imperfect human family. And we're all trying to learn the same thing you're learning tonight. How to be gentle with ourselves. How to let ourselves be as we are. How to rest. Now let's understand what's happening in your brain when you shift from fixing to curiosity. Because there's real neuroscience here that might help you trust this gentler approach. Your brain has different networks for different types of attention. Understanding these can help you recognize the shift from fixing to curiosity. The task-positive network, TPN, activates when you're focused on solving problems, achieving goals, doing tasks. This is the network of fixing. It's narrow, concentrated, effortful attention directed at changing something. The default mode network, DMN, activates during rest, mind wandering, self-reflection. It's broader, more diffuse, less goal-directed. This is where creativity, insight, and integration happen. When you're constantly trying to fix, you're keeping your TPN active. Your brain stays in task mode, problem-solving mode. This is activating, not restful. But when you shift to curious noticing without agenda, you allow the TPN to quiet and the DMN to engage. This is more restful. It's the brain state that precedes sleep. Your brain is working perfectly, by the way. It's doing exactly what brains do when they're trying to protect you. The problem-solving mode isn't broken. It's just been running too long without rest. And here's the relief. You don't have to force it to stop. You just have to give it permission to rest. Curiosity is that permission. Dr. Matthew Lieberman's research at UCLA shows that simply labeling an experience, "I'm feeling anxious, I'm noticing tension," without trying to change it, actually decreases amygdala activation, your brain's alarm system, and increases prefrontal regulation. In other words, just noticing and naming, with curiosity rather than judgment, calms your nervous system. You don't have to fix. The curious attention itself is regulating. Dr. Herbert Benson's research on the relaxation response shows that you can't force relaxation. You can only create conditions where it arises naturally. Those conditions include a comfortable position, a passive attitude, not trying hard, and gentle attention. Fixing violates the passive attitude requirement. It's active, effortful, trying to make something happen. But curiosity embodies passive attitude. It's interested but not forcing, attentive but not straining, engaged but not effortful. This is why all your effortful trying hasn't worked. Not because you weren't trying hard enough, but because trying itself prevents the relaxation response. It's not your fault you didn't know this. How could you? You were taught to try harder, to effort your way through everything. But rest doesn't work that way. And now you know. When you bring curious attention to your body, you're creating the conditions for the relaxation response. Not commanding your body to relax, which activates effort, but simply noticing what's here, which allows relaxation to emerge naturally. Your parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest system, responds to safety. And curiosity signals safety. It says, I can look at this without needing to flee from it or fight it. It's safe to be with this. So even if you're looking at something uncomfortable, anxiety, tension, restlessness, the act of looking with curiosity rather than fear or urgency helps your nervous system settle. Here's something remarkable. The quality of your attention actually shapes your brain over time. This is neuroplasticity. If you repeatedly attend to your experience with harsh judgment, you strengthen neural pathways of self-criticism. Your brain becomes more practiced at finding fault, more skilled at identifying problems. But if you repeatedly attend to your experience with gentle curiosity, you strengthen neural pathways of self-compassion and acceptance. Your brain becomes more practiced at simply noticing, more skilled at being with what is. Every moment of gentleness with yourself, every single time you choose curiosity over criticism, you're literally rewiring your brain. This isn't metaphor. This is measurable change. So even if tonight feels imperfect, even if you're not doing it right, every moment of trying to be gentle counts. It's accumulating. You're changing, neuron by neuron. So every time you choose curious attention over fixing attention, you're not just being kind to yourself in this moment. You're actually training your brain to default to gentleness. This means the practice of curiosity accumulates. It gets easier over time. Not because you're getting better at a technique, but because your brain is literally reshaping itself to be naturally more curious, naturally gentler. There's also a physiological shift when you move from fixing to curiosity. Fixing activates your sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight response. Even subtle fixing, like trying to relax, creates muscle tension, increased heart rate, shallow breathing. Your body gears up for problem solving. Curiosity, on the other hand, activates what Stephen Porges calls the social engagement system. This is a state of calm alertness, interested but not threatened, open but not overwhelmed. In this state, your heart rate variability increases, a sign of healthy nervous system flexibility. Your breath naturally deepens, your muscles soften. Not because you made them do this, but because the quality of curiosity creates these changes. Think of it this way. When you're curious about something safe, like watching a sunset or listening to music, your body is relaxed even though you're attentive. That's the physiology of curiosity. Alert but at ease. You can bring that same quality to your internal experience. Curious about your thoughts the way you might be curious about clouds passing. Interested in your body sensations the way you might be interested in textures or sounds. and your body responds to this quality of attention. It recognizes safety. It softens. You might recognize this as mindfulness, and it is. But let me clarify something about mindfulness that often gets lost. Mindfulness is often taught as another thing you should do, another way you should be. You should be more mindful. You should live in the present. You should observe your thoughts. But when mindfulness becomes a should, it becomes fixing. It's no longer gentle curiosity. It's one more way you're failing if you're not doing it right. True mindfulness is effortless. It's not straining to be present. It's simply noticing that you already are present. You can't actually be anywhere else. Even when your thoughts are in the past or future, you're here, now, having those thoughts. So mindfulness isn't about achieving some special state. It's about being curious about whatever state you're already in, right now, as it is. Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, who brought mindfulness into medicine, describes it as paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. That non-judgmentally is crucial. That's the curiosity. That's what makes it restful instead of effortful. So right now, can you notice that you're already noticing? You're already aware. You're already here. You don't have to create mindfulness. You just have to recognize that awareness is already happening, and you can bring curiosity to that awareness. What's it like to be aware right now? What's the quality of your attention? Is it tight or soft? Harsh or gentle? Urgent or patient? Just notice. No need to change it. Just curious about what's actually here. This is the practice. This is what calms the mind. Not achieving perfect mindfulness, but being gently curious about your actual experience of this moment. Now let's practice together, not to master a technique, but to taste what curious awareness actually feels like. Before we practice, I want to say, it's okay if this is hard. It's okay if you can't do it perfectly. It's okay if your mind wanders or you forget what you're supposed to be doing. You're not performing for me. You're exploring for yourself. There's no grade, no evaluation, just gentle practice. Let's start with thoughts, since they're often what people most want to fix. Instead of trying to stop your thoughts or clear your mind, just be curious about thinking itself. What's it actually like to think? Notice a thought when it arrives. Any thought. Don't grasp it or push it away. Just, oh, a thought is here. What's the quality of the thought? Is it words, images, feelings? Is it loud or quiet, fast or slow? No judgment about the content. You're not evaluating whether it's a good thought or bad thought. You're just curious. What is thinking actually like? You're doing this right now, even if it feels clumsy or unclear, even if thoughts keep pulling you away. You're here. You're trying. That's the practice. Notice how thoughts come and go on their own. You don't have to make them leave. They arrive, exist for a moment, and pass, like clouds in the sky of your awareness. Can you be interested in this? The way thoughts appear and disappear, without needing it to happen faster or slower or differently. Just watching, just wondering. What's it like when a thought comes? What's it like in the space between thoughts? Now bring curiosity to your body, not to relax it or fix it, just to notice what's actually happening. Where do you notice sensation right now? Don't search hard, just gently. What's obvious? What calls your attention? Maybe it's tension. Maybe it's comfort. Maybe it's something neutral. Whatever it is, can you be curious about it? If it's tension, what's the actual texture of it? Is it sharp or dull? Hot or cold? Does it pulse or stay constant? It's completely okay if your body isn't relaxing. We're not here to make it relax. We're here to notice it, to be with it, to finally pay attention without demanding it be different. Whatever sensations you're noticing, even if they're uncomfortable, you're doing this right. The noticing is the practice, not the changing. You're not trying to make it different. You're genuinely interested. What is this sensation actually like when I really pay attention to it? Notice how sensations might shift just from being noticed. not because you made them shift, but because curious attention itself sometimes creates change. Or they might not shift at all, and that's okay too. You're not here to make something happen. You're here to notice what's already happening. Can you bring this same gentle curiosity to comfort, to the softness where softness is? Not just paying attention to what's wrong, but what's actually here in its fullness. Emotions can be harder to be curious about because they feel so personal, so important, so urgent. But see if you can bring the same quality of gentle noticing. What are you feeling right now? Maybe calm, maybe anxiety, maybe frustration that this practice isn't working. Maybe nothing in particular. Whatever it is, can you be curious about it? Not why am I feeling this? Which is analysis, which leads to fixing. But what is this feeling actually like? Where do you feel it in your body? Is it heavy or light? Warm or cool? Does it have movement or is it still? Can you let the emotion be here without needing it to change? Just for now. Just as an experiment. What's it like to be with this feeling without fixing it? You might notice that when you stop fighting the emotion, when you just look at it with curiosity, it shifts. Or it doesn't. But your relationship to it changes. There's more space around it. More breath. This is an advanced practice. Being curious about resistance itself. You might notice resistance to this practice. This isn't working. I don't want to just notice. I want to feel better. This is stupid. Can you be curious about the resistance? Not overcome it. Not fix it. Just notice it. What does resistance feel like? Where is it in your body? What's its quality? Is it fear? Frustration? Urgency? If you're feeling resistance to this practice, this is stupid, this isn't working, that's perfect. That's exactly what to be curious about. You're not doing it wrong. Resistance is part of the experience. Can you be interested in your own resistance? Not overcome it. Just notice what it's like. Even resistance can be met with curiosity. This is what resistance is like. Interesting. You don't have to like the resistance. You don't have to want it here. But can you be interested in it? Can you look at it the way a scientist might look at something under a microscope, just to see what it actually is? When you stop fighting the resistance, it often softens. Not always, but often. Because resistance usually feeds on resistance. Fighting creates more fight, but curiosity creates space. For the rest of this dose, the invitation is simple. Just notice. Whatever arises, thought, sensation, emotion, sound, anything, just notice it, with as much gentleness as you can. There's a profound difference between living from what's wrong that I need to fix, and living from what's happening that I can wonder about. Fixing assumes something is broken. It starts from deficiency. I'm not enough. This isn't right. Something needs to change. Wondering assumes nothing is broken. It starts from presence. I'm here. This is happening. I wonder what this is like. This doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. You can wonder about difficulty. You can be curious about pain. But the stance is different. You're not trying to eliminate your experience. You're trying to understand it. Imagine how different your life could feel if you approached each day with wonder instead of worry. Not every moment. That's unrealistic. But more moments. Gradually more. Waking up curious about what the day might hold instead of anxious about all you have to do. Moving through challenges wondering what you might learn instead of criticizing yourself for struggling. This is available to you, not as a distant goal, but as a choice you can make, moment by moment, including this moment. And understanding, really understanding, not analyzing to control, is inherently compassionate. When you truly understand your own anxiety, your own tension, your own restlessness, you can't help but feel tenderness toward yourself. The poet Mary Oliver asked, "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" What if your answer was, to be endlessly curious about it, to wonder at its strangeness and beauty and difficulty, to really, truly see what it's like to be you? Curiosity doesn't have to be limited to meditation practice. It can become a way of moving through your whole life. Curious about your reactions instead of judging them. Curious about your relationships instead of demanding they be different. Curious about your work, your body, your aging, your changing circumstances. This doesn't mean being passive or never taking action. Curiosity can lead to action, but the action comes from understanding, not from urgency, from clarity, not from crisis. When you're truly curious about why you procrastinate, you might discover what you actually need. When you're curious about why a relationship is difficult, you might see patterns you couldn't see when you were just trying to fix it. Curiosity creates the space for wise action instead of reactive fixing. And in that space, between stimulus and response, between noticing and acting, there's freedom. Viktor Frankl said, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response." Curiosity is what creates that space. When you pause to wonder, to really look, you're no longer reacting automatically. You're responding consciously. Here's something beautiful. Curiosity opens the door to creativity and insight. When you're in fixing mode, you can only see solutions you already know. I've tried this, and this. None of them work. I don't know what else to do. But when you shift to genuine curiosity, when you really don't know and you're willing to look freshly, new possibilities can emerge. Neuroscience research shows that the brain's aha moments, those insights that seem to come from nowhere, occur when we're in a relaxed, open state. Not when we're trying hard to solve the problem. Curiosity creates that relaxed openness. You're interested but not desperate, engaged but not grasping. And in that quality of attention, creativity flows. This is why many people have their best ideas in the shower, or while walking, or just before sleep. Not because they're trying to have ideas, but because they're in a state of open, wandering attention. Curious but not forcing. So if you've been trying to solve a problem and getting nowhere, consider, what if you stopped trying to solve it and just got curious about it? Just looked at it, wondered about it, without needing an immediate answer. I mentioned earlier Rilke's instruction to love the questions themselves. Let's practice this now. What questions are you holding right now? Why can't I sleep? What's wrong with me? When will this get easier? Instead of desperately needing answers, can you simply be with the questions? Can you let them remain questions? I wonder why sleep is difficult for me right now. Not demanding to know, just wondering. I wonder what I need. Not insisting you should already know, just gently curious. What if you could be gentle with not knowing? What if I don't know could be said with tenderness instead of frustration? Right now, you might not know when you'll fall asleep. You might not know if you'll feel better tomorrow. You might not know if this practice will help. And all of that not knowing is okay. It's allowed. You can rest in the questions without needing immediate answers. When you love your questions, when you can be at peace with not knowing, the urgency decreases. The pressure lifts. You're no longer fighting against mystery. You're resting in it. And paradoxically, when you stop demanding answers, answers often arise. Not because you force them, but because you created the space where insight can emerge. Finally, let me show you how curiosity is inseparable from self-compassion. Dr. Kristen Neff, who researches self-compassion, identifies three components: self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. Notice that curiosity touches all three. When you're curious instead of critical, you're being kind to yourself. You're interested in your experience rather than judging it. When you're curious, you often discover common humanity. Oh, this is what humans do. This is what minds do. I'm not uniquely broken. Curiosity reveals your belonging. And curiosity is mindfulness, that quality of being present with what is, without judgment. So every time you choose curiosity over fixing, you're practicing self-compassion. You're treating yourself the way you might treat a dear friend who's struggling, with interest, with gentleness, with patience. And self-compassion research shows this is more effective for change than self-criticism. People who are kind to themselves are more likely to make healthy changes, not because they force themselves, but because they create the safety where growth can happen. So curiosity isn't giving up on growth or change. It's actually creating the conditions where real, lasting change becomes possible. And so we arrive here, at the end of our exploration, but not at an end to curiosity. Curiosity is endless. There's always more to notice, always more to wonder about. If these gentle journeys are meaningful to you, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a reflection below. It helps other restless minds find their way here. But for now, just rest. Let's return to your body, not to fix it, but to be curious about it. What's it like to have a body right now? Don't analyze. Just notice. The weight of it against the bed, the texture of breath moving, the temperature of skin. No need to change anything, just wonderfully, curiously, being with this body, this vehicle you've had your whole life. Have you ever really noticed it without trying to improve it? I'm still here with you. As you drift, as you settle, as you move towards sleep or simply toward rest, I'm here. You're not alone in this transition. What if you looked at your body the way you might look at a natural landscape, just appreciating its existence, its complexity, its mystery? Let your body be just as it is, tense or soft, comfortable or uncomfortable, tired or alert. Whatever it is, it's allowed. Your thoughts are still here. They might be still active. That's okay. Think of thoughts as weather, sometimes stormy, sometimes calm, always changing. Never permanent. You're not the thoughts. You're the awareness in which thoughts happen, the sky in which weather moves. Can you rest as the sky, letting thoughts be like clouds, passing through, no need to hold them or push them away? Just curious. What is this thought? What is this next thought? What is the space between thoughts? You've been so patient with yourself tonight, listening, trying, staying open, even when it was hard. Even when doubt came, you stayed. That's beautiful. No pressure to empty your mind. Just gentle curiosity about the thinking that's happening. And if you get lost in thought, when you notice, you can just be curious about that too. Oh, I was lost in thought. Interesting. What's that like? No problem. No failure. Just more to notice. You've given yourself the gift of this time, this space, this gentleness. You didn't have to be productive. You didn't have to solve anything. You didn't have to become someone different. You just had to be here. Notice. Wonder. Allow. And that's enough. That's always enough. The practice doesn't end when this session ends. Curiosity is always available. In any moment, you can ask, what's actually happening right now? I wonder. Whatever happens next, whether sleep comes quickly or takes time, you've already succeeded tonight. You've chosen gentleness. You've practiced curiosity. You've allowed yourself to be exactly as you are. That's profound. That's enough. You're enough. And in that wondering, that gentle turning of attention, there's peace. Not because you fixed everything, but because you stopped needing to. As we move toward the end of our time together, I want you to know something. I'm here with you. I know I'm just a voice. I know we're not in the same room. I know you're physically alone right now in your bed, in the dark, in the quiet. But in another way, we're together. Right now, in this moment, my words are with you. My intention to help you rest is present with you. My hope for your peace is here in this space with you. And I want you to feel that, not as an abstract idea, but as a real presence. Someone who understands. Someone who's been where you are. Someone who knows what it's like to lie awake, exhausted, hoping for rest. You're not alone in the dark. There's a thread connecting you to everyone who's ever listened to this, who's ever struggled with rest, who's ever needed gentleness and found it here. I'm thinking of you, the real you, lying there right now, not an abstract audience. You, the specific person with your specific struggles, your specific history, your specific heart that's carried so much. I don't need you to be anyone other than who you are. I'm not here to fix you or change you or make you into someone else. I'm here to be with you exactly as you are. Tired, worried, restless, peaceful, sad, numb, hopeful. Whatever you are right now, I'm here with that. With you. With this moment exactly as it is. And I want you to know, it's okay to need this. It's okay to need a voice in the dark. It's okay to need to feel accompanied. It's okay to not want to be alone with your thoughts tonight. That's not weakness. That's being human. We're meant to need each other. We're meant to be comforted by presence, even when that presence is a voice we can't see. So let yourself be held by this. Let yourself feel less alone. Let my presence, humble as it is, distant as it is, be a reminder that you're not forgotten. You're not unseen. You're not facing this night completely alone. I see you lying there. I see your tiredness. I see your courage to still be trying. I see your heart that hasn't given up even though it would be so easy to give up. And I'm staying with you through these final minutes, through this transition towards sleep or rest or simply quiet. I'm not leaving. You're not abandoned here. Even after this voice stops, the intention remains. The care remains. The wish for your peace remains with you like a blessing you can carry into the dark. You don't have to do this perfectly. You don't have to sleep perfectly. You don't have to rest perfectly. You just have to be here. And you already are. You're doing it. You're here. And that's enough. You're enough. This moment is enough. This imperfect, real, struggling, beautiful moment, it's enough. So rest now, or don't rest. Just be here. Be held by this moment. Be accompanied by this presence. Be seen and witnessed and cared for exactly as you are. I'm with you, in this breath, in this darkness, in this quiet, in this hope for peace. You're not alone. Sleep will come when it comes. You can't force it, but you can be curious about its arrival. What does sleepiness feel like? Not the idea of sleepiness, the actual sensation. Heaviness in your eyelids. Softening of thought, drifting of awareness. Each subtle shift, if you're paying attention, is fascinating. You're not trying to make sleep happen. You're just noticing what happens as your body transitions toward rest. Curious. Open, allowing. And if sleep doesn't come yet, that's okay too. You can be curious about wakefulness, about what it's like to lie here, aware, present, not yet asleep. Everything is allowed. Everything is worthy of curious attention. As you drift, you might notice you're moving into not knowing. You don't know if you're awake or asleep. You don't know where one thought ends and another begins. This is beautiful. This dissolution of boundaries. This surrender to mystery. You don't have to know. You don't have to figure it out. You can just dissolve into not knowing. Resting in the question. Resting in the uncertainty. Resting in the gentle, curious wondering of what this is. Let yourself drift now. Let the curiosity be very soft, very gentle, very quiet. Just noticing, just wondering, just allowing. Nothing to fix. Nothing to achieve. Just this, whatever this is. Curious and soft. Wondering and resting. Allowing everything. Just noticing. I'm here. Still with you. You're safe. You're seen. You're enough. So gentle. So soft. Just this. I'll see you soon. May your rest be deep. And your dreams be gentle.
you.